Yeah. I thought all you had was philosophy.
So I go mostly to it. Again, I have to reach out to you. Mainly the one that she lives, you know where Florence is? You know where my is? Well, if you go right, like here was the hotel, you go right up the road.
Make a right, go
And you
ahead.
make it right, and you develop it, that's what my cousin says. I go up there pretty often. Yeah.
Okay, if we all rise for the pledge, but after the pledge, we would like you to remain standing for moments of silence. It's been a difficult last week. Whitehall lost one of our state representatives in Dan McNeil. Today is also 9/11, and we want to remember the victims of 9/11. We've also had the hurricanes of Irma and Harvey. So if we would just maintain some silence after the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. And we also send our deepest sympathies out to the Whitehall Police Department and our policemen for the actions that happened this week. By the way, we are so proud when you read in the paper what happened, and yet there was no fire back and the person was taken in without injury. That's an A+ for our police department. Whitehall Township has an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing and to review all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. This includes taking meaningful actions that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities, free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected characteristics. The township, in its land use decisions, does not discriminate against persons based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familiar status, and reviews all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. Public comments made on the basis of bias and stereotype concerning people within these protected classes will not be taken into consideration by the township in its deliberations. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye, and President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 5 ayes.
Public hearing and voting now on bill number 27-2017. An ordinance deferring the required installation of sidewalks along the MacArthur Road frontage of Lytle Grocery Store development as required in Chapter 21, Section 407 of the Codified Ordinances of Whitehall Township. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginder,
No.
Commissioner Dutt,
No.
Commissioner Snyder,
Wait a minute, something's wrong. We're supposed to have a
I thought
hearing
we were
on
having a
this.
hearing.
Well, there
We're
was
supposed to have a
no,
hearing. That's why this lady is here.
yeah, no.
You're supposed to turn it over to Attorney Fonzone.
Well, We're in the middle of this right now, so. We can finish this first.
Not to vote, not to vote. We don't vote before we have the hearing. You
Okay.
get your first and
Did you?
second, and then you have the hearing.
There was no comments.
Didn't see anybody here for them.
Well, at the workshop, didn't they defer?
Well, they weren't here for the workshop, was
Yeah,
they?
but wasn't the newspaper article that the issue was deferred until PennDOT reached a solution with Everhart Road? That's how I read it.
Okay, I didn't read the paper on that.
So this was deferred until you have a final plan for PennDOT and widening Everhart Road,
That sounds reasonable.
okay?
I wish to withdraw my motion at this time.
And my second.
Okay. Let's just have the hearing first.
Okay, do you want to have the hearing now?
There's no one here.
There's nobody here, so what is,
You are tabling
Table it
this
till-
bill,
till-
this ordinance, until we have a definitive plan from Lidl and PennDOT for Everhart Road. And MacArthur Road.
I don't know the stenographer.
Which bill is the stenographer?
First.
This one right here,
we've never had any.
first one.
Okay. Okay,
We'll vouch for you that you were here.
you can walk your dog early now. That's okay. All right, at this time, we're going to have a presentation from Penn State and the agricultural extension in the Lehigh Valley. And ladies, if you would get up and introduce yourselves. And
That's okay. That's why I'm going.
This is
So hi, my name is Jennifer Massero. I'm the Client Relationship Manager for Penn State Extension, Area 10. So that includes Lehigh, Bucks, Montgomery, and Northampton counties. So Penn State Extension is a non-biased, research-based institution within every county. So all the 67 counties have a Penn State Extension building and service. So we run the 4-H programs. We have the Master Gardeners, Master Watershed Stewardship programs. We bring Prosper, Serve Safe classes. We go out in the communities. We work with farmers and the communities on some of the issues that they're having. So we are here today to talk about the Master Watershed Stewardship Program and perhaps how it can help your townships here locally. And with that, I'll introduce Erin Frederick, and she can talk a little bit about herself and the program because she's really the expert here.
Thanks, Jen. My name is Erin Frederick. I coordinate the Master Watershed Steward Program here locally, as well as the Master Gardener Program, and I'm also the statewide Master Watershed Steward Coordinator. So I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of the program. We actually launched this here in the Lehigh Valley in 2013. Based on the success of the Master Gardener Program, we actually have a waiting list of volunteers wanting to become Master Gardeners, and they give thousands of hours of community service each year, educating people about horticulture and environmental stewardship. So working with our conservation partners, we felt we really needed that for our water resources in Pennsylvania. So working with our conservation partners, we put together 40 hours of training for anyone that's interested. We found we have a variety of people that have always been interested in the environment, but they don't know how to engage. So they go through our training in a variety of topics. We rotate our trainings around to different environmental facilities in the 2-county area, and they're taught by local professionals. We do have a statewide standard curriculum. that we use to teach our volunteers across the state. And after training, they need to secure 50 hours of volunteer service their first year and a group project. And with those group projects, sometimes we do look at municipalities for project ideas, like we've done a lot of demonstration rain gardens across the Lehigh Valley. And some of our community partners, like doing stream restoration work with the Conservation District.
Can you, what do you mean by a rain garden?
So
We have one right out front.
okay, there we go. So it's just a way of, instead of having your downspout and all your storm water running off your roof and onto the pavement and then rushing into the stream, it's a way of collecting that rainwater and letting it filter and infiltrate down into the ground rather than just picking up the pollutants and running right into the stream.
Which helps us with our stormwater runoff.
Exactly. It also helps create habitat as well. It can be pretty. So we do love installing those, and I'm glad to hear you have one. And then we try to keep the people in the program. It's not just their first 50 hours. They have to commit 20 hours of service every year at a minimum. And we want them to continue to learn, so they do continuing education each year as well. And these are just some example projects of what we work on. We do educational workshops. We actually did a rain barrel workshop here in Whitehall in April, and we had a really great size audience for it. We'll work with schools, we'll take educational displays to different community events, riparian buffer restoration projects with our partners, demonstration rain gardens, water quality sampling. And those are just a couple examples of what the volunteers can do. Statewide, we're now in 13 counties, and this is just some stats across the state. We've got about 150 master watershed stewards as of 2016, and we're getting closer to 4,000 volunteer hours. So, and we've done a lot, planting trees, rain gardens. So that's really just a very quick overview of the program. Locally here in the Lehigh Valley, we have 66 master watershed stewards. And again, we did do a rain barrel workshop with Whitehall Township. We're certainly open to doing another one next year. And really any way that we can help you with your stormwater education, because I know that's an MS4 requirement. And I do have a fact sheet here that kind of covers how our volunteers can help you with your stormwater outreach. Any questions?
We have two members of our environmental committee here too, so it's...
That's wonderful. I mean, we'd be happy to.
Yes, please. Okay. Give your name and address, please.
Mayor Spagnoletti, 351 Sumner Avenue. I'm here with my colleague Joe. We're on the Environmental Council. My question is, do you work with the Wildlands Conservancy and Trout Unlimited to help the stormwater buffers and so forth? To make buffers on streams?
We do, yeah, certainly the Wildlands, they do reach out to us.
Are you familiar with the Wildlands Conservancy?
Mm-hmm.
And Trout Unlimited?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, they're some of our project partners.
Well, there's your volunteers if you need, stream restoration and so forth. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we had a hand.
Antonio Pineda, 844 4th Street. This is more like a comment in general. I just want to say how great a job you guys do. I'm very proud to say as an environmental engineer, Pennsylvania is one of the best states when it comes to stormwater runoff management and watershed maintenance, and et cetera. They're a huge reason why.
I ran into...
Thank you very much. We are going to be training another class in 2018. So if anyone here is interested in becoming a Master Watershed Steward, I have flyers as well. Certainly if the township wants to help recruit us, some folks within the municipality, we'd be very grateful.
Are you doing it at Penn State or at Lehigh Valley Planning Commission?
We rotate around.
You go to site?
Yeah, we go to the Wildlands Conservancy, the Nurture Nature Center, Lehigh Gap Nature Center, pretty much all the environmental organizations in the Lehigh Valley, we try to get to their sites.
Thank you very much. It was very informational. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to come here. Appreciate it very much.
Thank
Do you
for
have
having me.
dates when your classes are going to begin?
Yes. We have an information session on January 10th, and then the classes begin on March 7th.
We might want to have them show up at one of our environmental meetings. That would be- Again, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
We're going to change up things a little bit tonight. Instead of going to the courtesy of the floor, because we're about to lose another member of the board soon, we're going to try to get through our business section and then go back, okay? So we're going to bill number 252017, second reading. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the Township of Whitehall to enter into a license agreement with Darrell J. and Holly I. Messinger to permit the encroachment of a proposed deck into an existing drainage and utility easement at 4648 Schimmel Court, Whitehall, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Yes, please, sir, come up to the microphone and give your name and address.
Hi, my name is Darrell Messinger, and I'm at 4648 Schimmel Court. This is new to me, so now what I wanted to know is what's the next step now? We've been waiting since April on this.
Well, this should be the good news.
Yes.
That's what I was hoping
It
it
should
sounded
be a big
good.
hurrah.
Frank will tell you the next step.
Frank will tell you.
We'll get started tomorrow with everything.
Okay, great. So do I contact my contractor then, or I'll contact him?
Getting his permit, I can sign off on it.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
No problem. Any other questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniger, aye. Commissioner Dutt?
Yes.
And President Armstrong?
Aye.
Motion passes 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 26-2017, second reading. An ordinance amending the official zoning map of Whitehall Township by rezoning a 7.48 acre parcel owned by Teresa Lauser located at 3665 MacArthur Road, Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. Tax parcel ID number 54899361594001 from OS1 Open Space Residential / Agriculture to C-2A Local Commercial. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Sloniger, aye. Commissioner Dutt?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
President Armstrong?
Aye.
Motion passes 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 28-2017, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for purchase of a 2018 Pierce Enforcer pump fire truck for the fire department in accordance with section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board?
I have one. Is the money sufficient? That's budgeted. Okay, that's the only question I have.
I would comment that was an excellent ceremony on Saturday of the washing down, and that's What was the purpose of washing down, though? I know it's transferring, but after I took part of it, I really couldn't explain.
Basically, the purpose of it is you're taking one engine, that's the older engine, that's given the township its service for its whole period of time, and you're passing that service from that engine to the new engine.
Oh,
And by taking the water out of that tank, splashing it onto the new engine, you're continuing the good service that it gave, and it's just that. You know, there's no real reason behind it, that's how they did it. And the push-in comes back from the 1800s when there was horse and buggies, and the horses could not push the buggy back in, so they would disconnect the horses and they would push the engine back in, and that's why we do that to this day.
It was a nice tradition.
Yep.
It was a nice ceremony. I thought Mr. Ginder slacked off a little bit in his drying part, but other than that.
Appreciate you drying out.
Okay.
Somebody has to supervise.
Yeah.
That many Indians running around.
Okay. Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
and President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 30-2017, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of proposals for the groundwater monitoring program for the Novak Sanitary Landfill in accordance with section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions from the board? Do I have any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to approve the reimbursement to the Whitehall Township ICDA for expenses. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions from the floor, the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Just as a matter of housekeeping, because I can't remember, when this all started with MacArthur 75, did we issue the money to the Industrial Development Authority or to the MacArthur 75 committee where we said we would help
This
them?
one is for the industrial development. The next motion is for the North of 75.
Because when he has this expensed on the back, he has refreshments for movies and concert, banners and signs. The way he has this expensed on the back,
There's two different ones.
yeah.
This one is the one that we've been paying for the last couple of years.
It's this one, Phil.
With the green line in
So
it.
it's the green line. All right. All right, on this one, what I have is the $4,000 for accounting for the Industrial Development Authority.
Yeah, it's all of their books and the forms that they have to file and things like that.
It just seems like a lot for nothing really happening there.
Well, and they provided canceled checks of all of this expenses, so it's not like.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just questioning. It seems like a lot of money for accounting for not a whole lot, you know, it's in a dull position right now.
But as an authority, they are still obligated to turn in, like the sewer authority, the water authority, the
Correct.
reports to the Commonwealth.
I understand that.
And that's what the rates go for this kind of.
And the other one's the line of credit interest for $557.24. Because to my knowledge, there's only one loan out there.
No, I think the line of credit is not the bond issue for the Moravian gym. That's separate. There are lines of credit for startups for businesses.
Do you know how many of those startups?
I don't, Phil.
Okay. All right, those are the only two questions I had on that one.
Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes?
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. And President Armstrong?
Aye.
Motion passes 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to approve the reimbursement to the Whitehall Township ICDA for expenses for the MacArthur 75 celebration. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second?
I'll second.
Questions?
Yeah, so we gave them $25,000 originally, correct?
We didn't give them anything up front. This
Yeah.
is, reimbursable.
We said we would back them for this, so to speak. So now so this balance they're showing of $11,176, that's just the agreement that we said, yes, we'd help you out this much.
There, yeah, we have budgeted up to 25,000.
Okay.
We can't go beyond that.
So right now, that 11,176 that they're showing as a balance is actually sitting in the township coffer. They have not requested use of that.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make straight. That's all I have on it.
Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Dutt?
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
And Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
And President Armstrong?
Aye.
Motion passes 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, at this point, we're going to go back to the courtesy of the floor. But before we do this, I have to take leave, and my assistant will take over. You're welcome.
Cheryl, is it Bartholomew?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just bad with names. You have to come up to the microphone, please.
Okay, basically, my name is Cheryl Bartholomew. I live at 3109 North 3rd Street, Whitehall. My neighbor also, could I bring him up? Gerald Schumacher?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, sure.
Basically, the issue we're having is we're having an issue at 3107 with Lori Fainall. She has 8 video surveillance cameras on her property, but they're pointed at our properties. And she's filing harassment charges on us for doing absolutely nothing. We're talking on our own porch, we're minding our own business, and she's saying we're intimidating her, and it's insane.
Have you contacted the police department?
We have, and they basically have done nothing.
Yeah,
This
the police were there quite a few times, and she wastes the police time. She just calls because if she watches the camera, she sees us come out of her house, then she calls, says we're harassing her. Then the police come, they make a report or whatever, and then she goes out and gets it, goes to the magistrate.
Well, this is a civil matter. We can't do anything
Well,
about
isn't
this.
there any kind of
You
law
should be
of
going to the
privacy? I
magistrate.
mean, I'm a taxpayer, I own my house there, I live there
That's
for
not
50 years.
It's for the police to do, we can't do anything.
Police chief's gonna have.
We don't
Has
have that
she-
authority.
Has she physically threatened?
She's yelled at us, screamed
yelled,
at
yeah.
us, yes.
And what,
They've
Let's
been
go back
dealing with
in-
it for 2 years.
let's go back historically. What started this?
Basically, when they moved in,
And first, back up. Do they own their home?
I don't know. Their mother passed away and they moved in. They were evicted from their other place and then they moved in there.
Was Lehigh County,
I mean, we've known them for a long time and
is this the property that Lehigh County Aging was at?
No, that was mine.
That was your home?
Yes,
Okay.
because of my mother.
Okay,
She's 75.
All right, I knew it was in that,
Yes, 3109.
okay. All
My
right,
mother has undiagnosed Alzheimer's dementia.
okay. So 2 years, when they moved in, it began?
yeah.
Okay.
And I just moved in a year ago, and basically she's not happy that I'm friends with them and not her and being on her side. She's already turned me into children and youth. She split up my family.
So
Just
you're
because
you're
we're
at
big
you're
enough.
you're at 3109,
Yes, sir.
and you're at 3109, and
No, he's at 30.
no, you're
I'm
at.
at 3111.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
at 3109.
She's in between.
She's 30.
The houses are right next together,
between.
and I'm
It's row,
stuck
row.
next to.
Do we have
Lori.
anyone else from the block here? That's
No.
No? Okay.
Well,
Only
my
his
wife,
wife.
my wife.
Okay. All right, are there any code violations that she's,
Basically, her cameras are pointed onto my
I
property.
wouldn't know, there's gotta be, you gotta have some kind of privacy. I mean, if we sit out on the porch, basically, you know that camera's right there pointed on. And then she'll come out and say we're staring her down, you know. call
In the middle
police.
of my home and his, they put up a wooden border
Yeah,
because
put
of her
up a-
looking older. Me, I had to put up a sheet just so that she can't look over onto my porch. We have no privacy because her cameras are right on my property. My landlord also had told her that he does not approve of this. But he also gave me written permission on paper that they are allowed on my property. But she's still saying we are intimidating her.
so,
But they are my friends and landlord said they're allowed on my property.
Basically, the problem is that she watches these cameras 24/7. I have no idea why, what she's trying to see or anything. It's like just an invasion of your privacy.
And we also found out she's
Going that way.
audio recording also.
now,
without her
have
permission.
you reached out to an attorney to,
I have, but I have an ongoing case with North Penn Legal about a mold issue with my landlord, so he can't help me right now.
okay, and what about you with going to the magistrate?
Well, we
With the
went
civil-
several times, they rejected it from the, you know, we didn't get it, and
The local
the local magistrate.
Okay.
She's taking us there, you know, saying all
Oh,
of
she
that.
has taken you?
Yeah, she has taken us there.
But
so
you haven't-
seven times in the last 2 years.
But you haven't taken her?
Yes, now we
just
have.
now
Okay,
have.
okay.
We didn't go to court yet
So
about
it's
it.
canceled
But
on the 6th,
basically-
then she got an attorney.
It all stems around her constantly watching us. If
We have no privacy at our own homes.
I mean, if I put security cameras up on my property, I want them on my property. I want it on my car, my door, my garage, whatever. Not my neighbor's garage, their car.
She has
and
them
their
on the
door.
bus stop, on my property, and
It's-
back of the alleyway, and back of my door. And I'm like, the yard in basically, it's insane.
Have you had any hearings before the, or were they all before the late Judge Halal?
Yes.
Were they?
Yeah,
They were all, okay.
yeah, it's feedback for somebody.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I was wondering what it's called. Thank you.
Right now, you don't want to hear this, but the resolution is it's a civil matter. And you mentioned that you can't go to your landlord because of the dispute you have with him.
With
And
my
he,
attorney.
and he is the property owner on record of your property as well.
Yes.
All right. And are you documenting everything day by
Yes.
day in a journal?
Of everything that she accuses us of. She
Continue.
gives us harassment charges and everything.
Continue to document everything, date and time in a journal for when you go for a civil case.
Okay.
Because that will show professionalism to the district justice. Okay? And, you know, continues, just call me, all right? Sometimes a visit at the door helps, all right?
Because we're getting our privacy invaded. I mean, my children, I can't even allow outside because she lets her children out. My mom, she's 75 years old, and she walks the neighbor's dog every day. And it seems every time my mom comes out to walk the dog, she brings out her kids and her dogs and goes right after her.
All right.
It's like we have no privacy at all.
All right. Okay.
I don't have nothing on me. You gotta be
Oh,
right.
that's okay. That's
Tell me I
okay.
removed mine.
I will give you my number.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's not me. It's horrible feedback.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you.
very much.
All right, well, thank you for your help. It's hard to know where to turn to, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to waste your time or anything like that.
Well, we can also, you know, research other cases in the Commonwealth where this is happening and see what type of resolution, if any, was
Yeah.
done in that case. So it'll take some
Because
research.
the officers on us, they basically show up and say, you ain't doing nothing wrong, what can we do?
Yeah, yeah.
You're just sitting here talking amongst yourselves and she's.
And that's the dilemma. That's the dilemma.
It's crazy.
You should have a right to be able to sit on your property, on your porch,
And not be
enjoy the,
paid
you
for
know,
it.
it's nice out.
Yeah.
You sit in the house all winter long, instead of, well, you want to get outside, you know.
We had issues over the holiday. We were in his backyard and she was complaining because we were listening to music and, well, his wife was dancing on the table. She wasn't drunk at all, but we were having fun. And she was yelling and screaming over the fence to us. Where does it stop?
If someone records you, you need to notify them that
I
you're
have
recording
permission,
them.
but she doesn't have her permission at all,
Yeah.
or my
Or,
landlord's.
no, I don't know,
I'm shaking his head no.
no, I don't know, don't know.
Well, he's probably familiar with,
With Lori.
I'm all too familiar, so are the magistrate.
Then you know what we're dealing with. We're sorry for you, because we have to deal
No,
with it
no,
all the
no,
time.
I'm sorry. We're trying to find, you know, trying to find a reasonable solution within reason, you
There
know.
gotta be
We
some-
can't say a word to her, or, and, you know, that's out of the question.
No matter what we say, we get officers called and it's bogus.
Okay, well.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your help.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like courtesy of the floor? If not, reports by commissioners, Mr. Dutt.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to recognize our police and fire departments. You guys do an excellent job, and I wish from me and the board here that you would pass that along to your officers and volunteers, because I think they need to know that from us, and especially on 9/11, that we're thinking about them and we appreciate what they do. Second thing, on September 27th, which is a Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. at the Union Hall, Lehigh Street, we're going to have a town hall meeting on the preservation, or looking at the preservation of the Thomas Iron Works neighborhood in Hackendakwa, and that takes place at 6:30. So if you can be there, great. I was out the last couple of weeks passing flyers out to the residents of that neighborhood, so hopefully a lot of people show up and have a lot of questions and we can have a conversation about that. And lastly, on September 21st, which is a Thursday at the Whitehall Active Senior Lifestyle Center, we have a presentation by Karen Genzi, who will be talking about MacArthur Road and its history. So we hope you can join us. That starts at 6 p.m. And Mayor, just a quick question, and I think Commissioner Ginder brought this up at the workshop as well. And a couple of commissioners that are not here tonight. Yes, the tree and the gazebo.
The tree will require our front end loader to come inside the fence and put it, try to lift it and put it into a dump truck. But our front end loaders are now doing streets. So when streets are complete and we can move into winter mode, then it will come out in addition to the demolition of the gazebo. Yeah, we have to do, the gazebo is gone. Out at the pool, The tree went through it.
At the pool.
Yeah, if you remember, that was the
Yes.
gazebo donated by the Konopelski family around the bend, and the tree went right through it.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
That's all I have.
Commissioner Ginder?
When did the tree go through it, Mr. Mayor?
It was probably in July.
In July?
Yeah.
Just a few things. From the rail trail meeting. Any chance we can get in the barn and get there?
We were actually in the barn today. The Amish were here to shore up the barn. The fire department went in to remove what they could. A dumpster is now on site. This is second floor. But we do not want anyone into the lower level because it's still uncertain with the roof until they come back to do the full repair.
I believe these posts and rails are on the upper level.
If they are, then we gotta call,
Because they've been going out and buying.
actually, Dave, were you?
Posts and rails.
No, Dave, you were in class. Yep. Okay. All right, they're on the second level. Do you remember where they're at? Are they closer to MacArthur Road, or are they closer to where the guy came through the barn? Oh, wait, were they IRTs? Oh, sorry, they were, wrong group.
For the IRT. I believe those rails and posts are on the upper level.
All right, well
And
then,
they're stained and everything.
Bottom level.
Huh?
I think they store their stuff on the lower level.
Oh, all right.
Most
And
of their stuff is in the middle of the building.
I really don't want volunteers going in there.
can we get somebody from
Yeah.
Public Works to drag these out?
It'll have to be a staffer.
Can-
Where are they going though? Are they gonna go on a truck? Because we can't leave them outside.
I will personally have a truck there if I know when we can get in and get them.
Where are they going on the trail?
Well, I'd like to get them in storage back here in the old Public Works that they can come and get them as they need them, because they keep buying more rails and posts and little things they need, and this stuff's stained already, and we're getting into winter,
All right.
and they want to get some of this stuff done.
Well, Tim or Greg can go open it up. Just let me know your schedule.
Anytime, just give me the call. Whenever they can go there, you have my cell number, call me, I will come and get them. And I sure, can we find a place in the old Public Works?
It's tight, but we'll find it.
A corner that they can come and get them as they, that would be, they'd really appreciate that. They've been asking month after month after month. The other one is up at the trailhead. They've been asking about this for months on end. Where you go from the parking lot down to the paved trail. It is constantly washed out and it's getting really bad. I'm not going to say there's been a line of comments about handicapped access with everything washed out, but there's been a few comments about that. And bikers complaining about getting down there. Maybe if there's some macadam left over at the end of the paving season.
I know Tim has it on his list. All right.
They just want to get some answers, what they can expect. That's covered, that's covered. The only other thing I had, I wanted to mention, I saw we have a letter from Doug Bowen. He's resigning from the Whitehall Township Authority. You probably have already, but he would be one to receive some type of thank you. I believe it's 35 years he served it, plus a few years now on the board.
Didn't we do one for
We did one.
We did one for
Yes, when he retired.
Yeah, we did one.
So one was done years ago when he retired.
When he retired as manager.
All right, then that would cover it,
Okay.
for all the years he served.
Now
That's all
this new appointment, I believe, is until January.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Because of the authority.
So we really can't appoint those time ends. That's all I have, thanks.
Commissioner Snyder?
I don't have anything.
Okay. And then we have reports by the mayor.
Okay. To say the last several weeks will be a moment in time that we will never forget would be an understatement. The national news of the devastation caused by Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma, the announcement by our local Congressman Charlie Dent that he would not seek re-election, and the passing of Danny McNeil. It was with sadness that Denise and I learned of the passing of Danny on the afternoon of Friday, September 8th. Never did I imagine that on the prior Tuesday, that would be the last time that I would see Danny. We were at an event, and of course, we're sharing laughter, and I thought that he really looked great. When I read the statement from Representative Schlossberg, I thought it really hit the nail on the head about Danny being larger than life. I couldn't agree more. He was the 5th executive of this township and a member of the board of the commissioners. He worked for the people of Whitehall Township and later the people of the 133rd Legislative District of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania until his dying day. He was not afraid to bring to the forefront the stigma of the heroin opioid epidemic by holding town hall meetings with experts to educate the public. The meetings let recovering addicts and family members affected by the addiction or loss of a loved one to share their stories for all to hear. Danny fought for the working people to make sure that our labor laws and the minimum wage laws were never eliminated. When someone needed a hand in the community, Danny and his wife Jeannie were there to have a benefit or to raise money with a fund drive. Denise and I extend our sincerest condolences to Jeannie, his 3 daughters, and to the love of Danny's life, his granddaughter, Kenzie. The next tragic event occurred early Saturday morning when what I dreaded would ever happen during my term of office. The phone rang during the middle of the night, and on the other end was Chief Marks to inform me that one of our officers was shot in the line of duty. Immediately I drove to Lehigh Valley Hospital Cedar Crest, where I was able to visit with our injured officer. He is a 9-year veteran of the police force, and I had the pleasure and honor of interviewing and hiring him when he started here in Whitehall Township. I tried joking with him, saying that we could use a giant magnet to help him out with all the pellets in his leg, but we all in Whitehall Township, all the employees and the volunteers and our residents wish him a very speedy recovery. So I thank you all, and let's pray that the next couple of weeks are non-eventful and we return back to a state of normalcy. Thank you.
Okay, one other thing that I forgot to mention, excuse me. Budget meetings for this year, we're going to start them, if this is okay with the remaining 4 here, on October the 23rd, 4th, and 25th, starting at 6 o'clock. Is everybody okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
I'm good.
We good?